Hello friends! When sending your child to school in clean clothes, with pocket money and other valuables, you hope to see them return home in more or less than the same state. The heroine of our story today, however, was faced with an injustice that was simply ignored by adults. I'll get ahead of myself to say that it is the children who cared for the others to the detriment of themselves and ended up rectifying the situation. A 30-year-old woman named Alana approached the decision of choosing a school for her daughter, Masha, responsibly. And it was not an easy decision at all. First of all, many of the schools were overcrowded, and secondly, she didn't want to drive long distances simply to bring her child to school. As such, Alana chose the nearest school and was overall pleased with her decision. During the first year of Masha's studies, Alana was pleasantly surprised by the teacher's attentive attitude towards the children. She also liked that there was no policy of continuously asking the parents to donate money for school supplies and projects. When Masha was in the second grade, however, Alana faced a problem that she wouldn't have become aware of if it wasn't for one incident. After picking up 7-year-old Masha from school one day, Alana, as always, asked her about her day and achievements. In response, Masha said that she really missed her mom during the day and that she was extremely hungry and wanted to stop somewhere to eat. Alana studied Masha carefully and, to be honest, was confused as to where such an appetite came from. She then asked Masha what she was given to eat at school that day. The thing is that the school administration had only recently renovated the school cafeteria and boasted of its improvements. According to them, it was not only pleasant to spend time in the dining room itself, but the children's meals had also improved tremendously. Alana paid the school a monthly amount for her daughter's lunches, but considering that Masha was a picky eater and had to spend long hours at school, she also made sure to pack a healthy snack for her daughter. As such, there was no reason for Masha to be hungry. Nevertheless, the situation repeated itself several days later. At that point, Alana decided to have a serious talk with her daughter and find out what was going on, what she ate at school that day, and whether it was tasty. She believed that the taste of the food must have been the problem. As to be expected, Masha hesitated a little, after which she said that she did not remember what was served for lunch that day. At that point, Alana understood that Masha was lying and asked her to please be honest. Masha then shyly lowered her eyes and told her mother a story about their classmate, Styopa, whom everyone called Stepashka. Styopa was from a poor family. There were always very few school supplies on his desk, and his mom could not afford to pay the school lunches. During recess, when other children would take out snacks that they brought from home, the boy would simply sit and look at them hungrily. The children were compelled to share with their friend, sometimes giving him their entire snack. After all, they had a lot more at home, and Stepashka had been their friend since the first grade. At lunchtime, Stepashka would wait in the hallway and sit at an empty table because there was no portion for him. Masha explained that for the past several days, she and her friends would leave some of their food and give it to Stepashka, even though they were also hungry. Stepashka would refuse politely and say that he wasn't hungry. But when the girls told them that they were not going to eat anyway, he would always kindly agree to help them. Alana definitely did not expect to hear such a story and was touched by the girls' actions, even though she knew that it was for sure wrong to leave things as they were. She also remembered hearing several gossiping parents talk about Stepashka's family. They were a typical family until Stepashka's dad left and refused to provide financial assistance even at the beginning. The alimony payments were negligible, and Stepashka's mom was forced to spend long hours at work. She also had to care for her own elderly and sick mother, whose pension was barely enough to cover her treatment. Stepashka would always come to school in clean clothes, but it was clear that they were worn out. For a month, he wore dress shoes to PE, simply because he did not have a pair of sneakers. Alana was happy that she was raising a kind and sympathetic girl. But she also knew that it was the adults, certainly not the children, who should have come to the young boy's aid. Alana thought that the most appropriate occasion to bring up this issue was the next parent-teacher conference, to which all the parents usually came, even those who were busy. Masha's class had over 30 children, all from different socioeconomic backgrounds. As such, Alana was certain that the issue would be resolved that day. The teacher, however, took too long discussing the children's successes. At one point, Alana ran out of patience and intervened, saying that there was another, more substantial issue that had to be discussed. She asked why Styopa was forced to eat his classmates' leftovers, resulting in the other children not getting enough food. She also asked why the teachers were turning a blind eye. Of course, everyone had something to say in response, and a commotion began, while Stiopa's mother blushed and covered her face, embarrassed. The situation was heating up. There were those who suggested that the boy simply not enter the dining hall so that other children would not be compelled to share their food with him. In response, the teacher said that she was not allowed to leave a child in the classroom unattended and would have to keep bringing him to the cafeteria with the other children. Disorder reigned, and everyone was speaking and interrupting one another. Alana watched the situation unravel and regretted raising the issue at all. But that wasn't all. Someone even suggested that the woman shouldn't have had children if she had no way of making enough money to care for them. After this statement, Stepashka's mother burst out crying and left the room. Alana couldn't hold it in any longer and screamed, "Stop! What are you doing? This is a child that you're talking about. A child just like yours and mine who needs to eat nutritiously. Aren't you ashamed to suggest that the boy not be allowed to enter the dining room while you yourself live in total comfort, wear expensive clothes, and drive expensive cars? Even the children are more compassionate than we are and are not too greedy to share. Of course, I'm not thrilled with my daughter making decisions that are detrimental to her health, but it looks like the children are a lot wiser than us. If the state has no ability to help such families, then we can solve the problem on our own. No one will become poor if they just give 1 cup of coffee and donate 100 rubles a month." With these words, Alana got up and took 500 rubles out of her wallet and put them on the desk. She then left the classroom to catch up with Stepashka's mother. Afterwards, silence reigned in the room, and the parents were all stunned. While Alana was catching up to Stiopa's mother, one of the dads stood up and put 1,000 rubles on the desk. Afterwards, the other parents began to gather around the desk to donate as much as they could. Only very few left the classroom without donating anything. In a matter of just a few minutes, a decent amount of money was raised, which was definitely enough to pay for Stiopa's lunches until the end of the year. Stepashka's mother thanked each parent and promised to pay them back in the near future. Everyone who made a small contribution to the second graders' meals, however, had already received a dose of happiness and a sense of accomplishment. From that day on, Stiopa came to the dining room with the rest of the children and received a tray with his own portion of food. He no longer needed to watch from behind the door and wait to eat the leftovers before they were taken away. I'll get ahead of myself to say that several years have passed since the incident, and Stepashka's mother was able to get back on her feet. When Stiopa was in the 5th grade, she even organized and paid for the kids to go on a trip to the local museum, even those whose parents did not contribute to Stiopa's lunches. Around the new year, she always brings sweet treats for the whole class because she never forgets the kindness that she was shown. In short, this is the story of how one caring woman was able to restore a boy's confidence and give him the opportunity to feel like a full-fledged member of a classroom community. She also set an example for the other parents of how to behave in such situations. She taught them to remember that first and foremost, we are all human, which means that we can and should help those who are in need. Friends, how would you have acted in Alana's place? Honestly, would you have taken it upon yourself to intervene in this situation? Make sure to share your opinions in the comments. That's all for today. Rate the video if you liked it. See you soon. Bye.